Welcome to our deep dive, everyone. All right, welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
We are diving deep into the world of V86 racing today. Specifically, we're looking at the races happening at Bjerke and Solvalla, April 9th, 2025. First up is V86 1 at Bjerke, a full field of 12 runners.
Yeah.
And glancing at the expert tips, one name keeps popping up, Go, install 8. What's the buzz about this one?
Well, one thing that jumps out from the expert analysis is Go's closing speed. They really emphasize its strong finish, even when starting from tricky positions. Several sources mention how it's been able to overcome less than ideal positions in recent races, thanks to its impressive stamina.
But even with the great form, that outside draw in stall 8 has got to be a tough obstacle to overcome, right?
Oh, absolutely. Starting wide means Go will likely have to cover more ground, which can really drain a horse's energy, so that's definitely something to watch.
Definitely. Then there's Magical Time in stall 7.
The horse they think is most likely to give the favorite a run for its money.
And what makes Magical Time such a threat?
Well, the experts are consistently impressed by its lightning-fast start. It sets a blazing pace in the first quarter mile, which can be a huge advantage, especially on these tracks where leading from the front is often the winning strategy.
Right, so it can really take control of the race from the get-go.
Precisely. And holding on to that lead, it could be a tough one to catch.
Now, lurking a little further back in stall 9 is Pictured King. And this one's got a Squirrelbud tag on it.
Now, that's a potential surprise.
So what makes them think Pictured King could be a sleeper hit?
Well, they point to its consistently fast final quarters in past races. That suggests a very powerful finishing kick, which could really come into play if the early pace is hot and the leaders tire out. Plus, starting from the second row could actually work to its advantage. It might be able to avoid getting caught up in an early speed duel, save some energy, and then unleash that killer finish in the final stretch.
All right, moving on to stall 6, we've got Formula Photo. And what's catching their eye about Formula Photo?
Well, they think this one will also be gunning for the lead right from the start. And when Formula Photo gets to the front, it tends to be pretty tough to catch.
Ah, so we could have a bit of a speed duel shaping up early on between Formula Photo and Magical Time. They could make things really interesting.
It could indeed.
Now, we also have Victorious Bonanza in stall 10. But they're considered more of a place contender, needing a good position up near the front without burning too much energy early on.
Yeah, Victorious Bonanza is a horse that needs things to go its way to really shine. Starting from stall 10, it's going to be a challenge to find that perfect spot without having to work too hard early in the race.
And lastly, in stall 11, we've got Smile and Wave.
Smile and a Wave. This one's got a bit of a tricky draw, but the experts aren't writing it off. They note a previous V75 win, which, as we know, is a good sign of quality. Plus, there are some positive equipment changes being mentioned, which could give it an edge.
So maybe it can defy that wide starting position.
It's possible. Overcoming a wide draw often comes down to the horse's stamina and the skill of the driver.
Right, finding those gaps and conserving energy is crucial. The battle for the lead will be key, setting the stage for the closers. All right, let's move on to V86 2 at Solvalla. And the tips this time goes to Elita Indal in stall 6. What makes this one a top pick for the experts?
Well, Elita Indal has a really strong record on Swedish tracks, which is always a good sign. The expert analysis describes it as having both strength and speed, a really formidable combination if it's on form.
So a horse with a proven track record, literally, and a versatile skill set sounds like a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
Now, the main mop bud, the key challenger, seems to be Niki Lauda in stall 4. It had a bit of an unlucky comeback race, but apparently still had some gas left in the tank at the finish, and there are some interesting equipment changes to note as well.
And the fact that Niki Lauda still showed signs of life despite a less-than-ideal comeback makes it a serious contender.
Right, it could be even better this time around.
Yeah.
Now, how about Cashman Jr. in stall 5?
Cashman Jr. is a bit of a wild card coming back from a break. The experts acknowledge its high potential, but without any recent racing data, it's hard to gauge its current form. It's really a toss-up. It could win impressively or fade away quickly. We'll have to see.
Then there's Steady One in stall 1, another horse returning from a break. But this one's highlighted as a potential surprise, a Reiser Umklaaf, I think they called it. And what's intriguing is the mention of being barefoot and racing with a bike.
Now, that's a combo that can really boost a horse's performance. These changes, combined with that inside draw, could give it a real edge.
So it could be a sneaky contender, especially at longer odds.
Definitely one to keep an eye on.
And speaking of potential surprises, there's another one. Fearless Flyer in stall 7, labeled as a Scrail.
A Scrail, that's your classic long shot.
And what makes Fearless Flyer a worthy long shot bet?
Consistency. It's been in really good form lately, delivering solid performances race after race. That kind of reliability can be valuable, especially in a race with a lot of unknowns. If the race unfolds in a way that suits its running style, maybe a strong early pace to chase, Fearless Flyer could be right there at the finish.
All right, so another one to add to our watch list. All right, let's gallop over to Bjerke for V86-3. Now, this one's got a bit more of a Nordic flavor, featuring the cold-blooded trotters. The tipped horse is Nelson Doris in stall 3. They won easily last time, behaved well, and have good early speed. Sounds promising.
Yeah, Nelson Doris ticks a lot of boxes. Early speed is a big plus in these cold-blooded races where stamina is also essential. They were very impressive in their last win, and if they can get to the front again, they'll be tough to beat.
So they could really dictate the terms of the race.
Absolutely.
The main modbud, the challenger, is Osred Jerven in stall 4. Started racing a bit later in life, but has been showing some real talent, getting more reliable and faster with each race.
That kind of continuous improvement is always exciting to see. Osred Jerven is clearly on an upward trajectory, and if the early pace isn't too demanding, its stamina could really come into play in the later stages of the race.
Then there's Nordji Balder in stall 5, labeled as alluring, a tricky one. They were successful as a youngster, but seem to be finding their form again after a bit of a lull. Strong, too, apparently.
If they're truly back to their best, their strength could be a major factor, especially if the early pace is hot and the frontrunners tire themselves out.
So another potential beneficiary of a fast early pace. And briefly, Monrad in stall 2 is in top form and fast, but prefers a race where they can follow others over this distance.
Yeah, Monrad's a horse that needs a bit of help from the others to really perform at its best. It prefers to sit back, conserve energy, and then make a late move, so the tactics will be key for this one. If it gets boxed in or has to work too hard early on, it's unlikely to win.
Right, so it needs the race to unfold in a specific way to really shine. All right, let's head back to Solvalla for V86-4. And this race is sparking some strong opinions.
Oh.
Yeah, Double Deceiver in stall 1 is labeled as the besta spiken by one of the experts. That's the best banker, the one they're super confident about. They call it a top horse with an excellent winning chance from that perfect starting position. It had a good comeback win, boasts early speed, and will likely be aiming for the lead right out of the gate. They seem to think it's pretty much a lock.
Well, a good starting position and early speed are a powerful combination. But even the best horses can be vulnerable to upsets.
True enough. And the experts do highlight Lozano de Quattro in stall 8 as the most likely challenger, especially after a really strong finish in their seasonal debut.
A horse with something to prove. Those strong finishers can be dangerous, especially if the favorite falters or doesn't get an easy lead.
Right, if Double Deceiver has to work too hard early on, Lozano de Quattro could be waiting in the wings to pounce.
Exactly. And don't forget, sometimes a change of pace can really throw a horse off its game.
That's a good point. We should also mention Rome pays off in stall 7. Prefers the lead and won from there in their comeback race. They're suggesting it as a horse to consider for wider selections, those exotic bets that cover more possibilities.
Leading from the front can be a winning strategy, especially if the horse is comfortable setting the pace. Rome Pays Off's comeback win suggests it has the potential to do just that. It'll be interesting to see if it can challenge Double Deceiver for that early lead.
A potential spoiler, then. And then there's Maverick Dream in stall 2, apparently in good form and able to handle different speeds, a real all-rounder. They're mentioned as a potential place upset.
Adaptability is a valuable asset in racing. Being able to adjust to different tempos and race situations can give a horse a real edge. Maverick Dream's versatility makes it a threat to sneak into the top 3, even if winning might be a stretch against a strong favorite like Double Deceiver.
So another one to keep an eye on for those exotic bets. Okay. Let's trot along to V86-5 back at Bjerke. This one seems a bit more open, more horses in the mix.
Yeah.
Cherry Sun in stall 3 is the youngest in the field, but really impressed last time, winning from the lead in a good time. They're definitely considered a contender.
Youthful energy and talent, that's a dangerous combination. Cherry Sun's last win was very impressive, and it seems like the experts believe it has the potential to repeat that performance.
Right. And adding to the excitement is Io de Valville in stall 5. Finished third last time against some tough competition, has good early speed, could potentially take the lead, and is also seen as a major contender. So we might have another battle for the front brewing here.
Io de Vauville's performance against strong opposition last time definitely suggests it has the ability to challenge Cherry Sun for that early lead.
Right, so we could have a real showdown right from the start. And lurking in stall 2 is super smooth, consistent throughout the winter, and particularly good last time. They're considered an interesting long shot, especially if the pace is fast.
Super Smooth's recent form suggests it could be well positioned to capitalize if the early leaders wear themselves out.
So another potential beneficiary of a hot early pace.
Got it. Then we have Lurk Hallback in stall 1, a bit of mystery. Performed poorly last time due to some foot issues, but is known for its blazing speed from the start and is now racing with shoes, which could potentially solve those problems. Definitely a wild card.
All right, back to Solvalla for V86.6, and we've got another field packed with talent. The tips this time goes to Riverdale Z in stall 3. A solid record, including a fast time last year and a previous winning seasonal debut. Seems like a worthy favorite.
Yeah, Riverdale Z has definitely shown it can compete at a high level. That fast time from last year is impressive, and winning on its seasonal debut suggests it's come back in good form. The experts clearly believe this one has what it takes to win again.
Right. And adding to the intrigue is Nikita R in stall 6. Won half of its Swedish starts last year and looked great in qualifying. It's considered a major contender, given, they say.
Given implies a very high degree of confidence, almost a sure thing in the eyes of the experts. Winning half your starts is a remarkable feat, and a strong showing in qualifying suggests Nikita R has maintained that winning form.
And then there's Izo Zet in stall 11, another one with a lot of buzz. Won 5 out of 9 starts last year and was a Breeders' Crown finalist. It's making its seasonal debut here, but the experts still consider it a threat.
So even though it's IZZ's first race of the year, its past performance suggests it can't be overlooked, even from a slightly wider draw.
So another horse with a big reputation to live up to. We've also got Hard Center in stall 1, a potential Fidus. Previous success in Sweden racing barefoot with a racing bike, plus good early speed, could be a factor from that inside position.
A horse with proven success under similar conditions, that's always something to consider. And that early speed from the inside could give Hard Center a real advantage in the early stages of the race.
All right, let's head back to Bjerke for V86.7. The tips horse here is Ty Ohio in stall 6. Faded when racing outside the leader last time, but had 2 consecutive wins in the lead prior and might be able to reclaim that front-running position.
Horses often have preferred running styles, and it seems like Ty Ohio is at its best when dictating the pace. Those consecutive wins from the front are a good sign, and if it can get to the lead again, it could be tough to catch.
In stall 1, we have Brave Style. Lost because of a fast pace against tough competition last time, but is a fast starter and in top form. Looks like a strong contender from that inside draw.
Starting from the pole position with good early speed is a huge advantage. Brave Style will likely be looking to grab the lead right out of the gate and control the race. It has the form to do it, so it'll be interesting to see if Ty Ohio can challenge it for that front spot.
And then there's Timbershine Bonanza in stall 2, labeled as a luring. Won a Norwegian V75 race last time, but might find the starting method here a bit trickier.
Winning a V75 race is no small feat, so Timbershine Bonanza clearly has talent.
How about Gijas in stall 4?
Gijas won against easier competition last time, and while a win is a win, stepping up in class can be a whole different ballgame. It prefers to lead at a fast, even pace, which might be tough to achieve in this more competitive field. It's considered a long shot, but if it somehow manages to dictate the tempo, it could pull off an upset.
And finally, we arrive at the last leg of the V86, V86.8 at Solvalla. In stall 12 is the Tips horse. Finished well in a recent Bronze Division final, a fast starter, and likely to be driven aggressively.
A strong finish in a division final is a good indicator of form. And despite the outside draw, Let Me In's speed and aggressive driving style could see it overcome that disadvantage. It might have to cover more ground, but it has the engine to do it.
Now, how about Dream Alliance in stall 3?
Dream Alliance galloped in its seasonal debut, but apparently had plenty of energy left at the finish. The experts have positive things to say about the driver, and they consider it a major contender for the win. Dream Alliance is definitely one to watch closely.
And then there's Eagle Rock in stall 9. Finished strongly for 4th last time racing barefoot, suits the long distance, and is considered an early contender.
Stamina is key in these longer races, and Eagle Rock's strong finish last time suggests it has that in spades. The experts seem to believe it's well suited to the distance, so it could be a real threat, even from a wider draw.
Right, another one with a powerful engine. And we have a real long shot, a Skrelin in Westerbo Euro in stall 4. Had a good late surge last time, form is improving, and could have a decent chance in what the experts describe as a somewhat weaker field. A horse with improving form in a field that might be lacking a standout star, that's a recipe for a potential upset.